But she has beaten Penko a lot, so if she can get through her first round, she has beaten Ostapenko twice. So that could be a really interesting matchup in that second round. Also got to watch out for Bolter. Hasn't had the greatest season, or the greatest sort of like 6 to,
Ostapenko is panicking. There is truly no other way to say it. The draw has been released at the Linz Open, and the name sitting across from hers in the second round is the one name Jelena Ostapenko was desperately hoping to avoid. Alex Eala, the Filipino sensation who has made Ostapenko's life increasingly difficult over the past season, is back. And this time the stakes feel heavier, because this is not just another second-round match. This is a rematch. This is unfinished business. And for Ostapenko, this was supposed to be a chance to finally silence the doubts. Based on everything we have seen from her recently, her form, her behavior, her mental state, the signs are not encouraging. Not even slightly. Understanding Ostapenko before we examine what Eala has done to her, we need to understand exactly what kind of player Ostapenko is and what kind of headspace she is currently operating in. Jelena Ostapenko is a former French Open champion. She is one of the most aggressive baseliners on the WTA Tour, a ferocious ball striker who carries herself with an intimidating confidence that can genuinely unsettle opponents who are not mentally prepared for it. On her best day, she is capable of dismantling absolutely anyone on any surface. That is Ostapenko at her peak. But Ostapenko at her worst is an entirely different story, and unfortunately for her, that version has been showing up far too often. Her career has been shadowed by controversies that consistently raise the same uncomfortable question: can she handle pressure when things stop going her way? One of the most glaring examples came during a major tournament when Ostapenko, visibly boiling with frustration over how a match was unfolding, turned toward the crowd and directed hostile comments at the spectators who had simply come to watch tennis. Rather than converting that frustration into fuel, she pointed it at the fans. It was an ugly scene. It drew widespread condemnation. And it painted a very clear picture of what happens to Ostapenko when the pressure finds her. Then came the Taylor Townsend incident, which told us everything we needed to know. After losing a match that had clearly gotten deep under her skin, Ostapenko approached Townsend at the net with an aggression that had no place in a post-match exchange. She came in seething, clearly searching for some form of confrontation after the final point had already been played. Townsend, demonstrating enormous class and composure, simply shrugged her off and walked away. What Townsend exposed, Townsend refused to give Ostapenko the reaction she was desperately searching for. And in doing so, she revealed something the tennis world had long suspected. Ostapenko becomes genuinely fragile when results stop going her way. This is not the behavior of someone mentally composed. This is not the behavior of someone at peace with their game. This is someone cracking under the accumulated weight of expectation and frustration, and it is a pattern that has followed her throughout her entire career. Meanwhile, Eala has been doing the opposite. While Ostapenko has been publicly unraveling, Eala has been quietly building a reputation as one of the most mentally fortified young players on the entire WTA Tour. Nowhere was this more evident than her match against Laura Siegemund, a player who is absolutely notorious for psychological warfare on the court. Siegemund is not simply a tennis player. She is a chess player inhabiting a tennis player's body. She stretches time rules. She constantly engages officials. She dismantles rhythm deliberately and methodically, doing everything within her power to occupy the mind of whoever stands across the net. It is a tactic that has broken many players before. Against Eala, it broke nothing. From the opening game, Siegemund went to work, pushing every boundary, testing every rule, engineering disruption at every opportunity. There were early moments where her tactics appeared to be gaining traction. Then something remarkable happened. Eala simply reset. No argument. No complaint. No frustration visible in her face or her body language. She walked back to the baseline, took a breath, and returned her focus entirely to the tennis. When Siegemund pressed again, she found someone completely unshakable. Eala won that match with a calmness and clarity that was genuinely breathtaking, and it sent an unmistakable message to the entire WTA world. This young woman cannot be rattled. That mental superiority is the foundation on which everything else is built. And it is precisely why the head-to-head record between Eala and Ostapenko looks the way it does. Miami. The first warning it began at the Miami Open last season in one of the most stunning upsets of the entire tournament. At the time, the ranking gap between the two players was enormous. Ostapenko was the established force, in form, confident, and on paper, a comfortable favorite. She had every reason to expect a routine win. Eala had absolutely no interest in following that script. She found herself 4 points down in the first set, staring at a real possibility of dropping it early. A player without genuine mental steel folds in that moment. Eala refused. She fought back, stayed composed under mounting pressure, and took the first set in a tiebreak, 7 points to 6. The second set mirrored the drama. Eala built a commanding lead, only for Ostapenko to claw her way level through sheer aggression and force of will. And here is where the mental gap between these two players became absolutely decisive. Ostapenko was fighting with emotion. Eala was operating with clarity. She found a way through again, 7 points to 6 in the second, and sealed a victory that sent shockwaves across the entire tour. It was the first time Eala had beaten a player of Ostapenko's standing. The manner in which she did it was extraordinary. Eastbourne. No excuses left. Ostapenko must have told herself Miami was an anomaly. A bad day. The wrong conditions. She must have convinced herself that the next time they met, she would be ready. That second chance came at the Eastbourne Open in 2025. She came in hungry and prepared. She took the first set, and for a brief, flickering moment, it looked like she had finally solved the puzzle. Like the Miami result was behind her, she had not solved anything. Eala won the next 2 sets in a row and closed out the match in the most decisive fashion possible. 2 meetings, 2 defeats. And now there were no excuses remaining. No ranking gap to point to, no surface to blame, no aberration to hide behind. Eala simply had her number, and every person watching knew it. Linz, the third chapter, so here we are. The Linz Open, second round. These two meet again. Ostapenko arrives carrying the weight of 2 consecutive losses to this opponent, a publicly fragile mental game, and a season that has been a nightmare from start to finish. Eala arrives with momentum, with form, with a quiet and unshakable psychological edge that only comes from having already beaten someone twice, and with the kind of mental clarity that makes her one of the most compelling young players in the world right now. The record says Eala wins. The form says Eala wins. The mental battle, frankly, has already been decided long before either of them walks onto that court. Ostapenko is panicking. And honestly, given everything we have witnessed, who could possibly blame her? Eala is coming. And history is very much on her side.